My name is Vanessa Carter, and until last spring, I truly believed I had the kind of life people envied. I was 34 years old, born and raised in Savannah, Georgia. I worked as a pediatric nurse, a job I loved, one that gave me purpose. My friends called me the stable one, the person who had her life together, the one who could always be counted on. I married my college sweetheart, Tyler Carter, when I was 27. We met in a coffee shop during my last year of nursing school. He was funny, charming in a quiet way, the kind of man who listened when you spoke. He made me feel safe. And after losing my mother the year before, I needed that. We built a life together, a little 2-story house on the edge of town, Sunday brunches, family trips to the beach, late-night grocery runs in our pajamas. We weren't perfect, but we laughed often, and I thought that was enough. And then there was Rachel, my best friend since I was 14. We met in high school when the seating chart put us next to each other in biology class. She was bold where I was cautious, outspoken where I was quiet. She was the sister I never had. When my mother passed away, she stayed with me for weeks, sleeping on my couch just so I wouldn't wake up alone. She helped pick my wedding dress. She was my maid of honor. She became the godmother to my daughter, Emma. Rachel wasn't just my friend. She was family. That's what makes what happened so hard to believe, even now. It was a Thursday in late April. The air outside was thick with humidity, one of those Georgia evenings where the heat doesn't break even after the sun goes down. I'd just finished a grueling 12-hour shift at the hospital. My back ached, my feet were sore, but I felt good knowing I'd helped my patients. On my drive home, Tyler texted me, "Working late, don't wait up." It wasn't unusual. He'd been taking on extra hours to help pay for some renovations we'd been talking about. I trusted him without question. I passed Rachel Street on my way home and thought about calling her. We'd been meaning to have a girls' night, maybe open a bottle of wine and watch one of those terrible reality shows we both secretly loved. But it was late and I figured she was busy with her own life. When I pulled into my driveway, I noticed something strange. The blinds in our upstairs bedroom were closed. Tyler never closed them unless he was sleeping, and he wasn't supposed to be home. I told myself it was nothing. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The house was silent. No TV, no music, just the faint whir of the ceiling fan upstairs. I kicked off my shoes and called out for Tyler. No answer. I started up the stairs, and that's when I heard it. A laugh. Muffled, but familiar. My heart stuttered. I froze halfway up the steps, straining to listen. The laugh came again. I gripped the banister just to steady myself. 1,000 thoughts collided in my head. All of them desperate, all of them excuses. Maybe she'd stop by to surprise me. Maybe they were planning something for my birthday. But there was something in that laugh. Something that told me I didn't want to see what was on the other side of that door. Still, I kept climbing. Each step felt heavier, slower. I could hear my pulse pounding in my ears. The bedroom door was half shut. I pushed it open, and there they were. Tyler and Rachel, tangled in the sheets of the bed we'd shared for nearly a decade. For a moment, they didn't see me. Tyler's head was turned, Rachel's hair falling over her face. But then she looked up, and the color drained from her cheeks. Tyler scrambled, his mouth opening like he had something to say, but no sound came out. I wish I could tell you I screamed, or that I threw something, or demanded answers, but I didn't. I just stood there, staring, feeling my entire world shift under my feet. The sound of the ceiling fan, the hum of the air conditioner, the smell of our laundry detergent. I noticed everything. as if my mind was trying to memorize the moment my life changed forever. When I finally spoke, my voice didn't sound like mine. "How long?" Rachel looked away. Tyler rubbed his face, avoiding my eyes. Neither of them answered. I turned and walked out. My legs felt numb. I made it downstairs, picked up my phone, and drove to my sister's house without looking back. But that was only the beginning. Over the next few days, pieces of the truth began to surface, and each one was worse than the last. I learned they'd been seeing each other for over 2 years, that they'd been together while I was pregnant with Emma, that the nights Tyler claimed he was working late, he was with her. And the part that gutted me the most? Rachel had sat in my kitchen, drinking coffee with me, listening as I talked about my marriage struggles, all while sleeping with my husband. It wasn't just betrayal, it was performance. If you're hearing this, you probably think you'd see the signs, that you'd notice if the people closest to you were lying. I thought that too. But trust, real trust, blinds you. The weeks that followed were a blur of lawyers, custody agreements, and long nights where I sat awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I'd missed it all. I replayed every conversation, every dinner, every holiday in my mind, searching for the moment the shift happened. But the truth is, the moment doesn't. So if you've been through it or you're going through it now, stay with me. There's more, much more. And I want you to hear every part, because the ending isn't just about what they did to me. It's about what I did next. Subscribe to Unfaithful Chronicles, because the truth is never what you think it is. And sometimes, the person you'd trust with your life is the one holding the match to burn it down. We'd been together for 7 years. Tyler was my first real love, the kind that makes you think you finally found your home in another person. I met him in my second year of college. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room, but he had this way of making you feel like you were the only person that mattered when he was talking to you. Our first date wasn't anything fancy, a walk along the riverfront, talking until the coffee shops closed. But I remember going back to my dorm that night and writing in my journal, "This feels different." And it was. Tyler had a quiet humor, the kind you catch in the little moments. Him tossing popcorn at me during movie nights, pretending to sulk when I beat him at cards, stealing fries off my plate even when he ordered his own. He called me Ness because he said Vanessa was too formal for someone who smiled in her sleep. We built our life on routines we didn't even realize we'd made. Sunday mornings meant pancakes, Friday nights meant takeout and a rented movie. Whenever I worked late at the hospital, he'd leave a plate for me in the oven, with a little note saying, "Eat before it gets cold." And Rachel? She was there through it all. Rachel and I met long before Tyler. The first week of high school, she was loud, fearless, the kind of girl who wore mismatched socks on purpose and dared teachers to scold her. I was shy back then, still figuring myself out. She pulled me out of my shell. We became inseparable. Sleepovers, inside jokes no one else understood, even making up fake names when we went to coffee shops just to confuse the baristas. When I started dating Tyler, Rachel was the first person I told. She teased me endlessly about how smitten I looked. She helped me pick out the dress I wore to meet his parents, and over time, she and Tyler formed their own friendship. We'd have game nights, the three of us, cookouts in the backyard. Tyler would fix her leaky sink, and Rachel would drop by with homemade brownies when I was on night shifts. Looking back now, I can see little things. things I brushed off without a second thought. Like how sometimes, when I came back from the kitchen with drinks, they'd be mid-laugh at something I hadn't heard. Or the way Rachel would casually mention knowing what Tyler had for lunch, even when I didn't. Once, during a barbecue, I caught a look pass between them, quick, gone in an instant, but it lodged somewhere in the back of my mind. I told myself it was nothing, because these were my people, my husband, my best friend. I trusted them completely. And maybe that's why I missed the other signs. Tyler's phone suddenly face down on the table instead of open. Rachel declining invitations more often, then showing up unannounced on nights Tyler was home and I wasn't. The way I was too busy juggling my shifts at the hospital, helping Emma with school projects, trying to keep our lives moving forward. If you've ever loved someone deeply, really believed they were your safe place, then you know how blind that kind of trust can make you. I didn't know it yet, but those small moments, they were the quiet edges of something that was already unraveling. And by the time I saw the whole picture, it was too late. It started small, little shifts in the way our lives used to run so smoothly. Tyler began working late more often. At first, I thought it was just the renovations we were saving for. Maybe he'd taken on extra hours. But then it became almost every night. He'd leave in the mornings without a proper goodbye and come home long after Emma and I were asleep. Rachel, too, seemed busier than usual. She'd cancel our wine nights, saying she had early mornings or that she wasn't feeling well. Sometimes she wouldn't answer my texts until the next day, even though I knew she was almost always glued to her phone. It was easy to explain away. People get busy. Friends drift in and out of each other's schedules. I had no reason, not yet, to think there was anything more to it. Then came the first moment that really lodged itself in my mind. One Saturday night, Tyler told me he was going out with the guys. It wasn't unusual. I encouraged it even. I thought it was important for us to have separate friends, separate lives, so we didn't burn out on each other. I stayed home, made some popcorn, curled up with a movie. Halfway through, I realized I'd left my phone charger in the car. When I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me, and then I froze. Parked 2 streets over, half hidden under the shadows of an oak tree, was Rachel's car. I remember standing there, trying to reason it out. Maybe she was visiting someone in the neighborhood. Maybe she was dropping something off for another friend. But the thought sat in my chest like a stone. I texted her, "Hey, are you around?" No reply. Later that night, when Tyler came home, he smelled faintly of Rachel's perfume. Not strong, just a trace, like it had brushed past him. I told myself I was imagining it. Then there was the social media post. Rachel had uploaded a picture to her Instagram story, just a glass of wine on a table, nothing unusual. But in the blurry reflection of the wine glass, I could swear I saw Tyler's arm, the watch he always wore. I stared at that photo for a long time, telling myself I was crazy, that reflections warp, that it could have been anyone. And then, before I could screenshot it, the story disappeared. The days that followed felt off. I'd call Tyler at work and sometimes he wouldn't answer, texting me hours later with vague explanations. Rachel stopped asking about him entirely, when before she'd always find a way to joke about our marriage. One night, I got a text from Tyler. "Staying late, don't wait up." I put Emma to bed, did some laundry, and decided to run out for groceries before the store closed. On my way back, I took a different route, a shortcut I rarely used. That's when I saw it. Rachel's car, parked outside my house. The blinds in the upstairs bedroom were drawn. A light glowed behind them. I slowed down, my stomach. I didn't stop. I drove past, telling myself there had to be an explanation. There had to be. But deep down, something was already shifting. I didn't have proof, not yet, but I could feel it, the shape of the truth pressing in around me. And I knew it was only a matter of time before it showed itself. That night, I wasn't planning on going home early. It was one of those late April evenings where the air feels heavy, like it's holding something in. I'd just finished a double shift at the hospital. My scrub still smelled faintly of antiseptic. I wanted nothing more than to sit on the porch with a cold drink and let my shoulders drop. Tyler had sent the usual text hours earlier, working late. Rachel hadn't answered my last 2 messages. When I pulled into the driveway, the first thing I noticed was that the blinds in our bedroom were drawn again. That in itself wasn't proof of anything, but it made my skin prickle. I stepped out of the car, the gravel crunching under my shoes. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. No distant TV, no laughter from the house next door. The front door clicked open under my hand. Inside, the air felt different, stale, still. The only sound was the faint hum of the ceiling fan upstairs. Halfway up the stairs, I heard it. A muffled laugh. Soft, familiar. Rachel. My hands began to shake. I gripped the banister to steady myself, my heart thudding so hard it echoed in my ears. Every step toward that bedroom door felt like wading through thick water, my body screaming to stop, my mind begging to know. The door was half shut. Light spilled through the gap in a narrow golden stripe. I pushed it open. Time slowed. Tyler was there, shirtless, eyes wide. Rachel beside him, clutching the bedsheet to her chest, her hair messy, her face a mask of shock. For a moment, they didn't move, didn't speak. The only sound was the ceiling fan creaking above us. Rachel's gaze darted to mine, then away. Tyler's lips parted like he was about to say something, but no words came out. The smell hit me next, the mix of our laundry detergent and her perfume. I swallowed hard. My voice came out low, almost foreign. How long? Neither of them answered. Tyler rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes. Rachel shifted under the blanket, her knuckles white as she held it tight around her. The silence between us stretched until it felt like the walls might give in. Finally, Tyler muttered, "It's not what it looks like." A laugh, sharp, bitter, escaped me before I could stop it. I took a step back, then another, the door frame cool under my fingers. My pulse was so loud I could barely hear anything else. I turned and walked away, my feet moving before my mind had caught up, my vision blurring as I reached the stairs. Behind me, I heard Rachel say my name, soft, pleading, but I didn't. I don't remember getting to my car. I don't remember starting the engine. All I remember is the sound of my own breathing, ragged, uneven, as the streetlights blurred past my windshield. I didn't cry. Not then, not yet. My body felt too stiff, too locked, like if I moved the wrong way, I might shatter into pieces. I drove with no destination, just putting miles between me and that house, between me and them. When I finally pulled over, it was in the parking lot of an empty grocery store. I sat there, in the dark, gripping the steering wheel until my hands ached, staring at nothing. The reality kept replaying in flashes, Rachel's startled face, Tyler's silence, the smell of her perfume in my bedroom. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the way the air in that room felt like it had already been theirs for a long time. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at my sister's. I told her enough for her to understand, but not everything. I couldn't form the words. In the days that followed, the truth began to unfold in pieces. The late nights that weren't work. The sudden girls' weekends Rachel never mentioned to me. The trips Tyler claimed were for business but lined up with her being out of town. It was like pulling at a thread and watching the entire fabric of my life come undone. I ended the marriage. There was no fight left in me to fix something so deeply broken. Rachel, she never called. Not once. The girl who had been my maid of honor, who knew every secret I'd ever told, vanished without a word. Losing them wasn't just losing a husband and a best friend. It was losing the version of myself who believed them. It was losing the safe, unquestioned trust I had built my life on. People think betrayal is one sharp wound. It's not. It's 1,000 little cuts you keep discovering long after the first blow. And that's why I tell my story here, on Unfaithful Chronicles. Because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. And when it does, you need to know you're not alone. So now you've heard it. Every raw, unpolished truth. I still replay those moments in my head, wondering if there was a single choice, a single word that could have changed the ending. But maybe that's what betrayal does. It traps you in the what-ifs long after the damage is done. People tell me I'm strong for walking away. Some say I should have fought harder to keep what we had. And there are nights I lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering which of them is right. But here's the thing. When trust is gone, can you ever truly rebuild it? When someone you love has already chosen someone else, even for a moment, can you ever believe in their love the same way again? I lost my marriage and my best friend in the same heartbeat. I lost the people who knew my favorite songs, my worst fears, my quiet dreams, and I'm still figuring out how to live without them. So now I'm asking you, if you were me, standing in that doorway, seeing what I saw, would you forgive? Would you try to salvage the years you'd built together? Or would you walk away forever, knowing some pieces will never fit back the way they were? I want to hear your truth. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what you would have done and why. Because Unfaithful Chronicles isn't just my story. It's ours. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every impossible choice, they live here. So if you want to hear more stories like this, the ones people don't tell out loud, subscribe now. Come back for the next one. Come back to listen, to share, to be reminded that no matter how deep the wound, you're not alone.